Breathing is the only thing we do without trying. We take it for granted, don't we? This rhythmic, invisible clock in our chests that never stops ticking. It is the first thing we do when we arrive and the last thing we do before we leave the party for good. But lately, we've turned it into a performance, a way to hack the human system into something faster. We've turned the very air we breathe into a competition to see who can hold it the longest in the dark. I heard about the Wim Hof method, this heavy, aggressive style of breathing that feels like a struggle. It sounds like a secret code, a way to unlock a hidden door in the back of the mind that we lost. They say you can control your temperature, your stress, and maybe even your very soul if you try hard. It's the Iceman way, a path to becoming something more than just a regular, tired person in a chair. I decided to sit on my floor and give it a try one quiet Tuesday afternoon when the house was still. You take 30 deep, lung-bursting breaths, filling yourself until your chest almost hurts from the pressure. It's a violent way to treat the air, like you're trying to win a race against your own internal limits. My head started to feel light, almost like it was floating away from my own neck toward the ceiling. A strange, buzzing vibration started in my fingertips and moved up my arms like a wave of electricity. It was a tingling sensation, a pins and needles feeling that wouldn't stop no matter how much I blinked. My ears were ringing with a high, thin sound that I'd never heard before in the silence of my room. Then came the breath hold, the sudden, absolute silence of the empty lungs waiting for the next spark. You just sit there in the quiet, waiting for the urge to gasp for life to finally take over your body. It's a very strange kind of peace, a stillness that feels almost artificial and forced by the will. I felt like I was sinking into the carpet, becoming part of the heavy floorboards and the dust beneath. There were colors behind my eyelids, swirling patterns of neon blue and gold that danced in the dark. It felt like I was seeing the code of the universe, or maybe just the panic of my own optic nerve. People call this unlocking mental power, a way to reach a higher state of being without leaving home. It feels like a drug you can make just by moving your own ribs in a specific, rhythmic pattern. I felt invincible for a second, like the cold and the dark couldn't touch me anymore in that moment. We love the idea that we have these hidden reserves of power waiting to be tapped by a technique. We want to believe there is more to us than just blood and bone and the daily worry about the rent. But then I started to wonder, what is actually happening in the dark while I'm holding my breath? Am I enlightened, or am I just depriving my brain of what it needs to function properly today? There's a fine line between a spiritual vision and a simple, biological malfunction of the brain cells. Maybe the colors are just the neurons screaming because they're confused by the lack of oxygen. It's a bit dry, isn't it? To think that God might just be a lack of carbon dioxide in the bloodstream. I noticed you're breathing a little deeper now, just listening to me talk about the air in my lungs. It's okay. We all want to feel that spark, that sudden, sharp shift in the way the world feels. But why are we so desperate to leave the ordinary world behind for a few minutes of tingling skin? Is the world so heavy that we have to hyperventilate just to stand it for another long afternoon? The tingling in my hands felt like a warning that I chose to ignore for the sake of the experiment. I felt a sense of pressure in my chest, a contradiction of air and emptiness that made me feel small. I saw a face in the swirling gold, but I couldn't tell if it was actually mine or just a memory. It looked like someone who knew a secret I had forgotten a long time ago in the rush of growing up. But when I finally took a breath, the face vanished back into the shadows where it belongs. The ordinary world came rushing back, with its dust and its bills and its constant, grinding noise. My hands felt heavy again, and the magic just sort of evaporated into the cold air of the room. I sat there on the floor, feeling a bit cold and a lot more confused than I was when I first started. Was I closer to the truth, or was I just farther away from my own senses and my own grounded life? We spend so much time trying to hack ourselves into being better, faster, and more powerful versions. We want the power without the work, the grand vision without the quiet, boring path of the day. But maybe the real power is just in the breath that comes without trying or counting or holding. The one that keeps you alive while you're sleeping and dreaming of light and distant, quiet stars. It's a humble thing, a breath that doesn't demand to be a miracle or a breakthrough or a high. I looked at my hands, and they were just hands. No lightning, no gold, just skin and tired bone. Just skin and bone, trying to find a way to stay warm in the winter air without a special technique. I wonder if the Iceman ever gets lonely in all that cold, still silence he carries round with him. It is a high price to pay for a few minutes of feeling like a god in your own empty living room. I'm still not sure if I'll do it again tomorrow, or if I'll just sit and be a regular person for once. The air is free, but the cost of the trip might be a bit higher than we think when we start the count. There is a certain irony in trying to control the thing that gives us life without asking for anything. We want to master the breath, but the breath is always the one that wins the argument in the end. I'll just stay here for a while and listen to the rhythm of my own heart beating against my ribs. It's a bit slower now, a bit more sure of itself in the quiet, dusty light of the afternoon room. The colors are gone, but the light is still coming through the window like it does every single day. It's a soft, ordinary light that doesn't need a breathing technique to be beautiful or profound. Breathing is the only thing we do without trying. Maybe that's enough for a Tuesday. Or maybe it's not. It is hard to tell when you're still a bit lightheaded and the floor feels far away. The floor is solid, and the air is just air, after all, regardless of how hard we try to hack it. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.